Good afternoon. It's absolutely thrilling to be here and to be able to have the opportunity to present the Hush Foundation to you. And this afternoon we've got some really amazing things in store. First up, we're going to be performing our incredible health play called Hear Me. That play came about by talking to patients and families and people who work in healthcare and asking them to provide their stories, which I then passed on to renowned playwright Alan Hopgood. And Alan would have been here with us today. He said to pass on a message that he's actually testing out healthcare from the inside as a patient. So I think there may be another play on the way, and he's going to call it 3 Rooms in 3 Days, because it appears they keep moving him around. Anyway, Alan has done something amazing with these stories, which have been able to help us move people emotionally, particularly staff in healthcare, to really understand what is it that patients and families are needing from us as the people looking after them. And also, what do the staff working in healthcare need? So without further ado, I'll introduce our actors, Lee Mason, Jenny Seedsman, Christopher Brown, and Marcella Russo. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed that performance. I would like a photo now. Yes, that is my family. And every day that I go into work, I'm thinking, what if this healthcare experience was happening to one of my loved ones? And I think that keeps me really focused, and it does keep me listening to what's going on. In 1998, I was asked to come and set up a service at the Children's Hospital in Melbourne, where I work as a doctor. And they were asking me to do the bone marrow tests and lumbar punctures on children who have leukemia, other cancers and life-threatening illnesses. And I'd have to say it was a life-changing experience for me. My children were young at home at that stage, and I wasn't really looking for a challenge. But in fact, once I got there, I thought I really need to change some things. I was concerned that the children were getting really distressed by their procedures, and that was causing stress for the families as well. And I also thought for the staff doing the caring. So I sat down with a group of patients and families and a plate of sandwiches, and I said, tell me about the journey when you have a sick child. What are the parts of that journey that we could do better and that we could help you with? And back in those days, we didn't really talk about patient-centred care, but I think that was sort of the start of it. And the families were fantastic. They said to me, the pain management really isn't adequate, but we don't like to complain because we are so grateful that we're having extraordinary care for our children. But now that you've asked, we would prefer our children to go off to sleep. Once you know what the problem is, you can actually get on and solve it. Within a week, we had the children going to sleep for their procedures, and that then spread throughout the whole country. Once the parents knew that we were actually listening and that we did something with their answers, they were just the most amazing resource, as you heard in the play. They know things about the system that the health professionals don't even know. I'll give you a couple of other examples. They said, waiting is a real issue for us. You know, we can wait many hours sometimes. You've now got the children off to sleep for their procedures, but why do you bring 12 families in at 7 a.m? Frankly, you couldn't run a business like this. It might be 12:15 before my child, who's been fasted since last night, goes under the anaesthetic, and they're beside themselves, which really upsets us, and we can tell it's making the staff more stressed. Why don't you stagger the admission times into theatre? And I thought, wow, that's really fantastic. And I went round to the theatre staff and I said, we've got a great idea. And they went, well, theatre can't run that way. Actually, it can. I think what we were getting from the families was a perspective from a different place, not the system saying, we need the patients there ready for when the doctors and the nurses need them. In fact, we asked for a trial of staggering the admission times, and it turned us into the most efficient theatre in the whole system. We bring a family in at 8 o'clock, we bring some in at 9:30 and some in at 11, and nobody's waiting all morning. The families actually then said, we find the environment really challenging. The sounds and the lights and the machines that go peeing in a hospital, they're not calming and they're not relaxing for us when we're already vulnerable and worried about what's going on. What about some music? And that really was the start of the Hush Foundation. My children were learning from some amazing professional musicians at the time, so I thought, let's use their expertise. And I started bringing the musicians and composers into the hospital spaces. And they would stand in the corner and go, this is really hard, this is a real challenge. And the cacophony of noises in the hospital, we'll have to think really carefully what sort of music will help there to actually calm and relax people, rather than winding them up and making them feel more anxious. And the most incredible musicians and composers from around the country have now come to help us work on this. We've got quite a strict brief that they have to follow, that the music needs to have a sense of optimism and hope in it that will really have people feeling safe and secure in the environment. And they respond to that extraordinarily well. The composers spend a couple of years sometimes going from their first immersion in the hospital to the actual music that they can produce. And what in fact we've been able to do is produce and record some really extraordinary new Australian music that has a therapeutic benefit, and that really we've found has calmed the children, so they go off to sleep for their anaesthetics more calmly. If they go off to sleep like that, that's how they wake up in recovery, and the rest of the day actually goes much better because of that. The parents are more calm, and actually the staff in my operating theatre work together better as a team. In 2010, I was lucky enough to travel to the United States on a Churchill Fellowship, and that was another real landmark for me. I was looking at what is called patient-centred care, but also how it impacts on the safety of patients. And I was lucky enough to meet the guru of patient safety, a man called Lucian Leap in Boston. Lucian actually helped to change my life. Lucian said, the next big challenge for patient safety around the world is how staff treat each other. And I thought, that is so interesting. I've spent all these years listening carefully to the patients and families and making changes, but what about my colleagues, and what about how we all interact? And what I realised was there is a lot of anxiety and stress amongst the health workforce. It's a really difficult job that we do, and sometimes we don't feel supported and cared for enough. And I started to realise, actually, when the musicians and composers and other creative people have come into the hospital, they've actually helped the staff a lot, because they'll talk to the staff and say, you know, you guys do an awesome job. This is just amazing how you look after other people, and we would like to make your work life easier. Made me think a lot about kindness and how I think we can get back to some of the basics in healthcare. The technology and the medicine, it's fantastic. We've got that stuff covered. But I think we may have slipped a little bit in how we think about kindness and trust and respect between each other. And I can see in my team that when we treat each other with kindness and respect, that flows straight on to the patients and families. We put the hush music on in the background, and actually there's joy and there's meaning in what we're doing in the room. And the patients say to us, we feel safe and secure when we come. That's just awesome. That is where we want them to be. So Hush, last night, in fact, launched our album for 2016, and you're in for a treat because I've brought them all with me. And for the last couple of years, we've been working with some extraordinary musicians, Lior, The Idea of North, and Elena Katz-Chernin. Elena actually has worked with Hush now for a very long time and knows us extremely well. And I won't give too much away, but very soon you will be seeing Lior, The Idea of North, and Elena perform some of the songs from the Hush 16 album. I'd like to leave you with one little story, which is at one stage we had a little Vietnamese boy, Thong, and he came with leukemia. His family didn't speak any English, and so we had to get the interpreter to come and talk to the family. What happens when a child has leukemia is they need probably 50 procedures over their 3-year journey with the treatment. They need lumbar punctures, which is taking fluid from the spine. They need bone marrow tests, where I take some bone marrow from their pelvis. And they come every week for 4 weeks, and then they go away for a month. And so we'd explained this to the family. Week 5 came along, and I went out into the waiting room, and there was Thong and his dad. I thought, oh my goodness, we really haven't explained this so they understood the procedure. They're not due back here for another month. So I called the interpreter, and we went through it again, and I said, look, you're having these 4 weeks treatment, but now you're on a break. And the dad went, no, Thong just came to hear the music. Thank you.
Good afternoon. How are you? Very good. My name is Lior, and these fabulous people with me are a vocal quartet, The Idea of North. This year we were invited to be the artists in residence, I suppose, with the Hush Foundation and work on the annual CD or album that they put out, which we were thrilled to accept. I guess what differentiated this year's Hush album to previous years was that there was an embrace of the idea of using words, because in previous years Hush created music albums of an instrumental nature, feeling that perhaps the use of words might be overly associative to be played in the wards. But this year they changed their minds and invited us to work on a lyrical album. So we sat together and went over ideas, workshop, brainstorming, where we could draw these words from. And we all agreed that we wanted to involve the kids in the creative process, because after all, this music was being made primarily for the kids. And so we came up with the idea to formulate or come up with big life questions and not so big life questions and pose them to the kids in the wards and also other kids as well. And as you can imagine, we received answers to these questions that were full of humour, wisdom and beauty, and set about to write songs to those. And the culmination of that is an album that's just been released called A Piece of Quiet. And we'd like to do some of those songs for you today. So the first one we're going to do is a song called The Thing About Turtles. And this song was inspired by a question which we posed to the kids, which was, if you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? And one of the girls answered, well, I wish that people would stop throwing rubbish in the ocean because it gets caught in the turtles' flippers when they die. So, on that note, this is called The Thing About Turtles. You see, the thing about a turtle is he'll swim on his side, he'll flip, turn and dive, rather than let you see what he hides. You sing to the bottom till you're out of sight, right if you swim, left, left to your right. You'll never tell what lies under his shell. Well, I understand, yes, a turtle is smart. You can't always let someone in from the start, but sometimes you got to open your heart. I thought I saw a white plastic bag tangled round his flipper. I tried to help him, but still he is quicker. I guess that he must have thought it was his dinner. I wish people wouldn't throw their rubbish in the ocean, 'cause a turtle in motion, it's a beautiful sight. But when he's all tangled up, it's so sad, it's not right. Well, I understand, yes, the turtle is smart. You can't always let someone in from the start, but sometimes you got to open your heart. And though I kinda get it, I wish he would know I am only trying to set him free. But a turtle is not exactly like you and me. You see, the thing about a turtle is he'll swim on his side, he'll flip, turn and dive, rather than let you see what he hides. Thank you very much. Aside from the answers, which all of which we couldn't fit into the songs, there were some beautiful dialogues that were recorded, particularly by Catherine's daughter Michelle, who made repeated visits into the wards. And I just wanted to share some of the dialogues with you because we found them very entertaining. Why is it always men on the no fishing signs, never women? Well, that's supposed to represent all people. Well, it doesn't, because women don't have sticks for legs. They have, you know, triangles.
We asked a lot of children about stars because stars are a recurring theme of wonder for children, and we got so many more answers than we could fit into the single song. I'll read a couple of those out. One girl said that she wanted to go up in a rocket ship. I'm not sure if she's going to borrow it or steal it, and take it up all the way out into the stars, take one down and bring it down to Earth so she could have her own personal star on Earth. And another boy said, which really shows thinking beyond just about stars, but life in general, stars look after you at night because they can see everywhere in the dark. But they sleep in the daytime because in the daytime, humans can see everything for themselves. Lior has written a beautiful song called My Stars.
Yeah, so this is called My Stars. On the album, we actually invited a whole bunch of musicians that we knew to perform with us. So it's quite an intricately and I suppose grand album. And obviously we're a little bit limited today, but we're presenting the songs in a reduced format. But one thing is there's a beautiful whistling line in this song, and I've always been a really bad whistler. So I did get a bit of a master whistler to come in on the album and help us out. But I was hoping maybe you guys could kind of help me along because I'm whistlingly challenged. So do you guys want to teach them the whistle? Because I can't even do that. My stars, they blush when I look at the sky. They smile and wriggle, yeah, I think they are shy. There are stars in the country, you can see them all around.
They're the ones hiding from the kids in the town.
There are shooting stars, I haven't seen one yet.
I'll make a wish when I do,
if I don't forget.
My stars, they blush when I look at the sky. They smile and wriggle, yeah, I think they are shy.
There are sky stars and sea stars, they are up and they're down.
Why aren't there earth stars that live here on the ground?
Stars remind me of angels, I think it might be
that
true.
the ones that shine brightest
are watching over you. My stars, they blush when I look at the sky. They smile and wriggle, yeah, I think they are shy. Stars don't make me feel tiny,
I feel opposite of small. I'm a big person on this planet
who can do anything at all. And your stars, my friend,
oh, your stars, my friend,
are yours just for you.
just for you.
No one else here has quite the same view.
No one else here has quite the same.
No one else here has quite the same view. Thank you. So here's the bit where I make you feel really uncomfortable and make you hope that I don't choose you. But I'm just wondering if you guys could have a fantasy date, what it would be. Try and keep it clean. Can I ask you, young man, if you have a fantasy day, what would it be?
I'd be doing extreme stuff.
I said keep it clean, but whatever. That's all right. What about you? What would you do on your fantasy day?
I think I'd surf the ocean.
On something? Well, surf the ocean. Nice. What about you in the nice green shirt? What would you do on your fantasy day?
I would take out Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts, wow. That's so 80s. That's awesome. It's great. I got to get back on stage, excuse me. There you go. So anyway, we asked some of the kids what they would do on their fantasy day, and this is the result. The song is called A Piece of Quiet. This is Elena Katz-Chernin on the piano. Please thank her. Elena is a veteran of Hush who's composed many pieces for Hush. Thanks for joining us today, this afternoon. As I flew above the crowd, straight out of the cannon's mouth, thousands cheered as I soared so high. I just want a piece of quiet now. I landed in the middle of the softest pillow there ever was. Cameras flashed as I received my golden prize. I just want a piece of quiet now. Earlier this morning, the sailors came and said, we are being pursued by 3 ships waving flags of red. I had to grab my shiny sword and put my black coat on. I steered us through the Dragon's Reef until the ships were gone. Tomorrow when I wake up, I have so much to do. First I've got to walk the owl that's sleeping in my room. I must buy new shoes for my unicorn. She needs a bigger size. I love it how they sparkle when she flies. And next week holds even more. There's so much out there to explore. It's not easy being as brave as me. You'll see. One day I will even go on a train all on my own. But I just want a piece of quiet now. I just want a piece of quiet now. Elena Katz-Chernin. Please make welcome back on the stage the Idea of North. Do we have time? Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so I just want to introduce these fabulous people. By the way, all artists donate their time and create the music on a completely voluntary basis. So please thank Nick Begbie, Sally Cameron, Naomi Krellin, and Andrew Piper. I'm Lior, and please, if you want to check out the CD, it's available and all proceeds go to Hush. Thank you very much.